as in all sin. And I do believe this is a sin. Maybe not the worst of sins, but I think
I don't know if it's
if I'm there and I have told the Lord, I'm going to be there, I'm all in for you, except for this little piece of me that's on my phone.
All right.
I don't think that's giving God the full attention that I have really committed to giving him on the sidewalks.
I am yours, I am yours, I am yours, send me, Lord. I am yours, I am yours, I am yours.
Welcome to the Gospel-Centered Pro-Life Podcast, a podcast designed to equip, encourage, and challenge you in pro-life ministry, and always with a focus on the gospel. Stay tuned.
I felt your passion, touched your heart. Use me, Lord, use me, Lord.
Welcome back to the Gospel-Centered Pro-Life Podcast. Appreciate you guys joining us. My name is Daniel Parks. I serve as West Coast Regional Shepherd for Love Life, oversee all of our efforts on the West Coast, and also oversee nationally our sidewalk ministry. And I'm joined, as always, by Vicki Kasiorg. Say hey, Vicki.
Hey, everyone.
And Vicki is the Sidewalk Outreach Training Director, so she's involved with training folks and really just pouring into people across the nation who are doing sidewalk outreach. She even goes to some of our cities and visits and helps dial things in and encourage them in their sidewalk outreach ministry. And Vicki is a very gifted sidewalk outreach team member, sidewalk counselor.
Thank you.
We try to get away from the sidewalk counselor language because
Very hard for me because for 10 years I've said sidewalk counselor, but we are sidewalk outreach people.
But it's okay, right?
Okay.
We know what we're talking about. But we try to get away from the sidewalk counselor language because we've been accused of portraying ourselves as like licensed counselors or whatever.
Right.
But my response is Jesus is the wonderful counselor, and he never had a license to counsel, right?
And in Proverbs, doesn't it say something about with many counselors, there's much wisdom? That's kind of the kind of counselor I am.
Exactly.
I hope, or that I want to be.
Yeah, but we like to try to define our terms as best we can, so sidewalk outreach is what we like to say. But either way, that's sort of a distraction from what we're actually talking about today.
Which is? Distractions.
Yeah. This is probably one of the most practical episodes that we've done in a while.
Yeah.
And also just want to mention, guys, we're going to leave our email addresses at the end of this episode so you guys can reach out to us. And we encourage you to reach out to us maybe with feedback from this episode or suggestions for future episodes or whatever. And so we will leave our email addresses at the end of this episode. But again, that was another distraction from what we're talking about, which is distractions. So what are we talking about when we're talking about distractions, Vicki? What do we mean?
Anything that takes you from your mission.
Okay.
And so when you're on the sidewalk, the mission is focusing on the moms walking in and encouraging them to choose life and pointing them back to God.
Yeah.
And anything that takes away from that is a distraction.
Yeah. So, of course, in our lives, in our walks with the Lord, in our family life, in whatever area of life we're in, there can be distractions. Yeah. But we're not getting into all of that today. What we're talking about is you're on the sidewalk. God has called you to reach out to the moms going in, and you get distracted. Your attention is turned away from your mission by whatever that thing might be. So we're going to talk about some of those things and how to avoid these distractions. Yeah. And I think, above and beyond anything, it's accountability, right? Each of us being accountable to one another and graciously, hey, man, you're distracted. Hey, listen, you're looking at your cell phone when you should be reaching out. Things like that. Yeah. And so that's one of the main distractions we're going to be talking about. So let's dig in.
And actually, that is what happened. That's why I wrote this podcast. Is I am on my cell phone a lot when I'm out there. So this one is a big ouch moment for me. This is definitely one of my weaknesses. But in my defense, there are actually some legitimate reasons sometimes why I'm pulling my phone out.
Sure.
And we are going to go through some of those things. We're not saying that you can't ever not look at your phone. But it was one of our other counselors who came to me, and it had been a day I'd been on my phone a lot for different reasons, some legitimate, some not so much.
Yeah.
And she said, I have an idea for a podcast. She's so gracious. She wasn't going to come right out and say, Vicki, you look at your phone a lot when you're on the sidewalk. Because actually, I don't fall prey to most of the other ones that I train people not to do. But this one I do.
Yeah.
This one I do. I love my phone.
Yeah, it's an idol in your life.
It's such an amazing
You know what you're supposed
thing.
to do to idols, right? You're supposed to smash them.
Yeah, well, that's not happening to my my expensive iPhone. But we do need to. I think we all need to analyze what is it when we are on the sidewalk that is taking our focus away from what we're supposed to be doing. And I will tell you, I know why we do it. For one thing, standing 3 hours, and when sometimes there isn't much going on, can be boring.
Yeah, absolutely.
Phones are not boring.
No, there's a lot of fun stuff on your phone.
There's so much you can do on your phone.
Let me tell you this, though. Not to get too distracted here, not to rabbit trail too much, but I'll just give a rebuke, a heavy-handed rebuke to any of you guys that are listening. If you're out on the sidewalk and you're playing Chuzzle on your phone.
Chuzzle.
You know what Chuzzle is?
No, but I don't play games on my phone.
If you're playing Tetris or you're playing chess or Farmville or whatever other things people play on their phones, you're in sin and need to repent.
Yeah.
So let me just say that. But
yeah,
I know that you guys aren't doing that. So we're not talking about... If you're playing games on your phone, you definitely need to repent.
I'm way better than that.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. But it's really, again, not those things that's the big distraction. It's the emails that come through. It could be even the text messages from a mom that you're ministering to that's coming through. But you have to ask yourself, is that something you need to deal with right then and there? Or could you deal with it after you get off the sidewalk?
Right. Yeah.
Because that, again, is a distraction. The thing that we've said a million times, and we'll say it a million more, the enemy of the best is always the good. Yeah. The best is you're out there on the sidewalk, focus on the women going into the abortion center. Yeah. Good things can be the text message from, the mom that chose life 2 weeks ago that they're sending an encouraging message to, or something like that. And there's other things that could be good, considered good in competition with the best, but you guys get what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And so, the phone can be one of the worst distractions because it occupies your hands. Yeah. Not only your mind and your eyes are not looking at or thinking about what they should be, but your hands are now holding a phone instead of the literature or whatever. Yeah. And I'm attentive enough that I will be doing something on my phone. Usually it is in some way related to ministry, but nonetheless, it's wrong. And then I know a car's coming, and so I wave and do all I normally would do to get a car to stop. But in one hand is my phone instead of the literature because I can't put it away fast enough.
Well, let's be honest too about that. Yeah, and just so you guys know, I've definitely fallen prey to this. Oh, I've been in very trivial texting conversations with people while I'm out on the sidewalk and been distracted from women going in, whether it's a car pulling in or somebody walking in. Yeah. But even if it's very serious stuff that you're dealing with, emails or texts or whatever, it's hard to shift your mind. And like you're talking about, if a car's coming in and you're going to be waving and offering them literature, you're not going to do it with as much focus. Right. And with as much vigor and intentionality as you would if you were solely focused on that task.
Absolutely, right? No doubt. No doubt. Every time it happens, I think to myself, maybe I shouldn't be on my phone. Yeah. But honestly, it wasn't until that discussion with the sidewalk outreach teammate that I thought I was convicted. Yeah. I was heavily convicted. I wrote a whole article about it. Yeah, yeah. And it leads me to the very first step. And folks, as in all sin, and I do believe this is a sin. Maybe not the worst of sins, but I think
I don't know if
I'm there and I have told the Lord I'm going to be there, I'm all in for you, except for this little piece of me that's on my phone. All right. I don't think that's giving God the full attention that I have really committed to giving him on the sidewalk. So for me, I think it is a sin. Okay. And so the first step in any sin or really any issue that you need to deal with admit it.
Yeah.
Just flat out admit there is a problem here. She was absolutely right. Now, every one of you, go to your sidewalk and watch your teammates, not to tattle on them, but because we all want to be better. Watch them, and I think you will see there's a lot of phone use going on that shouldn't be happening. It's only one of the many distractions, but in all the distractions, the first thing is recognize them for what they are. They are a problem.
Yeah.
They are hurting your ability to minister effectively. What this counselor, what this fellow sidewalk outreach team member told me was, she said the same thing that you did, Daniel, that I also said. We all fall prey to this. And she admitted that, but she said, what she had noticed as she was thinking about it, she was watching the pro-abortion crowd. And she said, they're sucking on lollipops and they're pulling out their phone and they're chatting with each other. And she said, we don't look all that different. Maybe we weren't sucking on lollipops that day.
Right.
But we definitely were. Some of us were on our phone. There were people in groups chit-chatting. She said, we should be looking different.
Yeah.
We need to look different from them.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, in the terms that we speak and what we believe the Lord's called us to, we're in a battle.
Yeah.
And just like when you're on a battlefield, and I do believe that in that battle between light and darkness, between life and death, we're on that battlefield, and I think we're on the front line of that battlefield when we're at an abortion center.
Yeah.
You're not going to be on your phone texting with friends and stuff.
Yeah.
You're going to be focused on the battle because there's bullets flying, right?
Yeah.
There's stuff going on, and of course, in our scenario, there's demons lying, and there's all kinds of, just demonic activity and all kinds of spiritual warfare going on.
Yeah.
And we need to be focused as much as we would, if not more than we would if we were in a physical battle.
That's right. I mean, some of the things that if I'm on my phone or chit-chatting while those babies are dying, that I'm not doing, I'm not praying.
Yeah. Let me read a scripture that I think is helpful.
Uh-huh.
And there's a word in this scripture that I think is an important word.
Okay.
And it has to do with our sidewalk outreach ministry. This is 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 80. He says, be sober, be vigilant.
Oh, vigilant.
Because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour.
Yeah.
The devil is a liar. He's a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. He wants to devour, of course, these women's lives, these babies, families. He's a destroyer, right? And if we want to combat the destroyer, the enemy, he is our enemy, no doubt, then we've got to be sober. And that doesn't just mean not showing up to the sidewalk, not having been drunk, right? Of course, you guys aren't showing up on the sidewalk drunk. Again, if you are, you need to repent.
You need to work on that.
You definitely need to withdraw from the sidewalk ministry. But that's not the issue with you guys. This soberness is not just not being drunk. This soberness is being focused, being able to focus, right? And then
there's
that word,
an element of seriousness with
Right,
soberness
yeah,
also,
sobriety.
that it's serious what is happening there. And I know you've said this before, Daniel, and I totally agree that if we're out there with raucous laughter, it is incongruent with what we're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so sobriety,
Yeah.
definitely we need to have a reality check on a regular basis of what's actually happening inside of that building so
Right.
that we can keep our sobriety, so
Yeah.
we can be focused. But the word vigilant, that's the word I wanted to bring
a
out.
good
What does it
one.
mean
Yeah.
to be vigilant? Give me your definition of what it means to be vigilant.
Watchful.
Yeah.
Watchful with laser beam focus.
Yeah.
To me is vigilance.
Yeah. So the textbook definition of it is keeping careful watch for possible danger or difficulties. A synonym is watchful. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the lookout.
Yeah.
You can't be on the lookout. You can't be vigilant. You can't be watchful. You can't take in the seriousness of what's happening so that the devil, like a roaring lion, doesn't devour your teammates, you, the moms, the babies, right? If you're not focused, if you're got your head in your phone,
Yeah, and the enemy's attacking. And in that verse, it's saying that's when you're opening the door for the enemy.
Yeah.
Is that moments when you let your focus waver.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just like the watchman on the wall.
Yes.
What's the watchman on the wall supposed to be? He's supposed to be vigilant. And if he falls asleep, if he's distracted with whatever other things that are going on, the best for that watchman is to keep watch for enemies that might be approaching that city, that wall that he's supposed to watch. And if he fails in that duty, he's failed in the best thing, in the thing that he's supposed to be focused on. So,
and he's endangering others.
And endangering others,
Yeah.
So this maybe sound a little heavy-handed. We certainly want to encourage you guys. This is definitely an encouraging podcast, but also we all need to be challenged. We all need to be reminded that what we're dealing with is serious stuff. It's serious spiritual warfare. It's a serious abortion, a serious physical attack on precious human beings. And so we need to take it seriously.
Yeah.
In every area, not get distracted so easily like we do. And, you know, like they say, I'm preaching to myself as much as I'm preaching to you guys. We need to be reminded of this stuff. We need to hold each other accountable.
I found that once I wrote this, and after that discussion, which was not long ago, it was only about a week ago, I have been very aware of this, and I have really tried to keep my phone in my pocket.
Yeah.
I do, as in all things, we don't want to be legalistic about this, and every time we see a teammate pull out our phone, we're going to like shoot him with our water gun or anything. Right. Because there are things that I sometimes am doing on the phone. Sometimes I know I need a Bible verse.
Yeah.
And for me, it's difficult to carry all the things I carry and hold a Bible. My phone is always in my pocket. So sometimes I am looking up a Bible verse. And, that's, of course, legitimate. Or sometimes there's been a conversation with a woman, and I know I need prayer.
Yeah.
And I'll send out, right then and there, I'll send out a prayer request, often to my Facebook friends that I know are praying for me. I've had some hard health issues lately, and I have had to take calls from my very busy surgeon or doctor or whatever. Sometimes those are unavoidable. So we don't want you to think that you can never, pick up your phone, especially. It is 3 hours. Yeah. You've got kids at home, whatever. But I think this is an important thing for us all to consider and be vigilant and recognize.
Definitely. And listen, you guys, hopefully you're not out there by yourself. Hopefully you have at least one other team member or maybe 2, 3 other team members. If that's the case and you do need to take a call or you need to answer a text, get someone to fill your spot. Maybe you're manning the driveway. You're there handing out literature. Ask someone, would you come and take my spot for a few minutes while I go answer this call or while I go answer this text? Again, it's just practical, right? Because we're there, we're supposed to be vigilant, and we're supposed to be focused. And if we can't focus in that moment, get someone to take your spot, rather than doing all of it right there in your spot, and it taking the place of the thing that you're supposed to, be manning or giving your attention to. So
that was actually one of the things that she recommended when she was talking to me, because she recognized that sometimes some of this stuff, I think I began to rationalize and justify. Sure. And why I pick up my phone. And she said, she recognized there are those times when you have to do that, but walk away.
Yeah.
Move away from the team, get someone to cover your spot, whatever. Make it clear that you're not trying to minister at that moment when you've got something that is distracting you.
Yeah. I know something that the Lord dealt with me on. Mm-hmm. And this pertains to church and being in worship service. I get a lot of emails. I get a lot of texts every day, all day, Sunday, Wednesday nights, when I should really be focused on the Lord and focused on hearing the word.
Yeah.
And my tendency is I want to answer it, right? If somebody sends me a text, I want to answer in a timely way. But what I learned is that it just becomes a distraction. So a lot of times in worship, I'll actually take my phone out of my pocket, just put it on the seat upside down so it's not buzzing in my pocket and I don't feel it in my pocket.
Yeah,
but something I learned too, which is pretty cool, you may or may not know this, but if you have an iPhone, you can actually set it to there's something called focus, and I'm not pitching iPhones here, right? But if you have an iPhone, it probably does this with Android phones. Yeah. But I actually have it set where I have a focus mode. I want my wife to be able to text me while I'm in church in case something happens with one of the kids or something like that. So I have a focus mode called family only, and I have it designated where only people in my family, I've chosen a list of people, can text me, and that I receive the text and the notification for the phone call or the text or whatever. And I have it set for location. So when I'm at church, it knows my location and it automatically sets it to that focus mode. When I leave church, it takes that off. You could do that for the abortion center. You could set your phone on focus mode to where only your family can text you or only certain people can text you. Maybe your team members. You can make a list of just your team members, a group that you only get notified of their text or their phone calls. And when you arrive at the abortion center, it'll automatically put it on that focus mode so you're not distracted. And then when you leave, it'll take it off automatically. Did you know it did that?
I didn't know it did that. I do use Focus where I'm using it right now so that I don't get any text, while we're recording. But I didn't know you could set it to location. Yeah. I do have an extra legitimate justification, though, for not doing that. Because while you were saying that, I was thinking, wow, that would be great. But I do get calls from the moms that we are ministering to right there, who we've given them our literature. My name and number is on the back of it. And if someone is texting me from the abortion center, I don't want to miss that. Right. So I never turn my phone off when I'm at the abortion center. But I love knowing that is possible, because you're right, it's usually a specific location, church, the abortion center, whatever, that you really want to keep your focus, and that'd be a really good way. I think that gets into the section on the article, The Solution. What are the solutions to some of these distractions? You already mentioned one, but put the phone away or put it on focus. Do something where it is not going to be possible to distract you.
Yeah.
I put the line pocket the phone and pray instead. I like alliteration.
Yeah. Sounds cool.
Pocket the phone and pray instead, and which is true when you're driving also, folks, by the way. Another thing that I've got my phone up on my dashboard in case it's something that I just feel like I can't miss. But that's a danger. Yeah. It is a danger. And so the solution, find a way to deal with these distractions where you minimize them as much as you can. Yeah. Which brings us kind of to the next portion, which is, well, what are some of those other distractions? The phone is a big one, but it's certainly not the only one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, something we've touched on, and I think we did an episode similar to this maybe a couple of years ago or something like that, but we really focused on chit-chat. I think it's the one where we talk about strategic team placement. Right, yeah. We talked about spreading people out so they're not chit-chatting, especially like a group of people at the driveway where you're trying to give out literature. It can be a deterrent for people stopping and taking literature. But just chit-chatting in general can be a distraction. Now, we love each other. We want to fellowship with each other. We should encourage each other. There's reasons that we need to be talking, sharing information with each other. Did you see that lady that went in there? Such and such information we're sharing with each other. Whatever we're sharing. So, but just like common chit chat about whatever, sports or whatever you guys might chit chat about. The latest episode of Chosen, whatever you might be chit chatting about. It can just be a distraction for sure. It
can. I will not name names or give the day, but I've been very aware of all of these distractions. For one thing, I've been training other teams a lot, but just looking at my own teams, and I would say this is very close to the phone and being a major distraction. Yeah. I've watched the group that clumps and chit-chats, and I'm usually over from a position where I can see the front door and I'm away from everyone else. And so many mothers were missed. Yeah. So many. And I would hop on the mic to try and reach them. But the preferable thing is the person closer with just the unamplified voice. So I'm telling you, everybody, this is an issue. Yeah. It's an issue for all of us, and we're doing each other no favors by being the one starting the chit-chat either. We all need to be aware this is not the place to have any kind of extended conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and I would encourage you guys to check out that episode. I think it's called Strategic Team Placement or something to that nature, where we talk about this, because I think that is a big deterrent to chit chat, is having strategic spots where you place one person in and you're spreading people out. You have one person at the driveway, one person calling out, one person at another driveway or up the road or whatever.
Yeah.
But just getting people to spread out, it helps you stay focused.
Yeah.
And it keeps that chit chat down. The next one is talking to the pro-abortion crowd.
Right.
And, guilty as charged for sure. No doubt about it. I have went in endless conversations with these people, and we've said it before. They're out there to be a distraction, so let's not let them distract us. We love the Lord, and we want them to know Him, so certainly it's appropriate to share with them from time to time, but not in such a way where you're missing ministering to the moms that are going in. Yeah. God didn't call you to the sidewalk to minister to pro-aborts. He called you to the sidewalk because they're killing babies inside of there, and you need to reach the moms that are going in to kill their children. So that's that's another one. And then the third one you have here on the list is talking to passersby.
Yeah.
Again, there's plenty of amazing testimonies.
Like the donut lady that I told, was this week or last week that I talked about the donut lady?
Yeah.
But if someone stops and says, I love what you're doing, let me give you some donuts, I'm going to talk to her.
Yeah, right. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I mean, there's people that pass by, especially if you're in New York City. Some of our team, maybe you're listening from New York City.
Yeah.
And you've got foot traffic, people coming by. Certainly it's appropriate to share a track with them. If you've got a big enough team, certainly you could focus, if you had 3 or 4 people and, you could focus on that person and share the gospel with them, you need to do that. That's not an issue. The issue becomes when they become a complete distraction and you're not doing the main thing that you're called there to do, which is speak on behalf of those babies.
And I want to add to this one on talking with passerbys and also talking with the pro-abortion crowd. Honestly, that is easier than confronting someone about to kill their baby.
Yeah.
And I do think that's why sometimes people gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
It really is easier.
Yeah.
There is a human life on the line. It is weighty. It's hard. Most of them are not going to be convinced. So we gravitate towards the easier thing.
Yeah, kind of the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah.
Well, God called us to hard things, right?
He did.
Yeah. Another thing you have here is complaining and grumbling about the adversity. So, and this gets into the chit-chat thing, right?
It does.
Where, it's raining, it's cold, somebody
did you hear what they did
out.
to me or what they said? Yeah.
Right. And so you come over to your teammate, and that's not wrong to share your burden. We need to share our burdens with each other. But if it becomes a lengthy conversation and you're distracted from what you're supposed to be there for, which is speaking on behalf of those babies, you've fallen into the trap of distraction.
And also the effect of that is rarely an encouragement.
Yeah,
it is almost always a discouragement.
Yeah. So instead of spreading the discouragement, spread the love and encouragement, right? And then finally, another distraction, and I'm sure there are plenty of others that we could talk about, but other pro-life groups. And this kind of goes along the lines of the chit-chat thing as well.
Yes.
And again, we should definitely be nice. If somebody shows up, they're not part of Love Life or your sidewalk ministry, you don't just ignore them completely. You want to greet them. You want to say, hey, you want to smile. You want to show, the love of Jesus and the desire for unity and all of that stuff. But you have to be careful not to fall in the trap of a lengthy conversation that's just really a distraction from speaking on behalf of those babies.
Yeah.
And so I've done this, of course. I want to build relationships with people. I've seen new people come from other ministries, and I want to greet them and say hey to them. But then I've said, you know what, we're out here to speak for these babies. I'd love to take you out to lunch afterwards so we can talk a little further. But right now I'm going to focus on this. You have to, of course, be very nice about that.
Yeah.
But intentionality really helps us in that realm.
Yeah.
And, I think if they love babies and they love the Lord, they're going to respect that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that's all of our admonition to you guys along these lines. Hopefully this was an encouragement to you guys. We'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to me, Daniel, at lovelife.org. You can reach her, Vicky, with a Y, at lovelife.org. Check out our podcast website. I talked about an episode that I wanted you guys to listen to that's in line with this. about strategic team placement, you can go to gospelcenteredprolife.com and find that episode. You can search for keywords, maybe the word strategic or strategy or something like that. You could find that episode. I may even actually put it in the show notes if I remember to do that. But yeah, take advantage of that website, gospelcenteredprolife.com, our training and equipping website, where all these articles that we do these episodes are based on and that's sidewalks, 4life.com. We'd love to hear from you guys. Please leave us a review. But until next time, God bless.
God bless you all.
Give me an outlet for love. Give me an outlet for gratitude. I know it will cost me my life, but nothing's too precious since I met